Right, how are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Russell Heritage Golf. Today we are concluding the 5 most important parts of the golf swing. The first one was posture, understanding the importance of posture and what it basically does for you. The second one was understanding the concept of plane, which is an important thing to understand, especially as a concept. The third one is how the hips move in the backswing, and the fourth one was having the ability to separate. The fifth and final one is your elbow and your trail elbow. See, when we put all the little pieces together, actually this is the easiest thing to do in terms of it's the least difficult task. It's possibly one of the hardest things to be able to align your perception and reality. But for golfers that struggle swinging on plane, okay, the main reason why is because of things like if you're off plane in your backswing and you kind of wander under plane, it's normally to do with the fact that you don't turn the pelvis correctly in towards the leg. If you start your downswing and you move this way and you go under plane, or you swing this way and you're over plane, it's generally going to be because, again, of the backswing and your inability to separate. So if you're somebody whose elbow, doesn't drive forward and your right forearm doesn't stay pointing up towards the sky and the shaft doesn't stay on plane, then yeah, there's a very small chance it might be due to the elbow, but it's much more likely going to be linked towards your backswing and the transition. And I see this all the time with people that come for lessons, and I see it more of the time with people that send the swings in for annotations for the kind of videos that you can see on Instagram and Twitter. They'll always offer me a paragraph of text and they'll say, look, I've seen your videos and driving the elbow, I just can't get it to materialise. And it's because they're like drifting forward on the way back. Or it's because they can't separate because they've got a bad posture and they're moving this way. It's like, this is like the important thing, right? The elbow has to stay bent, and you want the forearm pointing up towards the sky for as long as you can because it helps you swing on plane, which we discussed in the second video. But the reason why it's not materializing is unlikely due just because of that. It's more to do with the points on number 1, number 3, and number 4. But what are we trying to do? Well, the elbow helps you stay on plane, so the right elbow, your right arm, needs to stay bent and in a position of external rotation. Based upon your flexibility, which I've talked about in more detail on the channel, then you can start trying to kind of lay the club off more. But your arm is designed basically just to keep you on plane. If your arm straightens excessively, you will basically be like casting the golf club, if you like, or more importantly, you'll be off plane. So you want to feel like you're trying to keep your right arm as bent as long as you can, and you want to feel like you're keeping the right forearm as upward facing for as long as you can, because it's basically what helps you come down on plane. But, like I've already reiterated, the main reason why this doesn't materialise, in my opinion, is because of things like, you're moving this way in the backswing, or maybe you're moving this way in the backswing, and then you can't separate, and then you're moving this way. And then all of a sudden your elbow won't look desirable because it's doing its damn best to try and help you find the club face at the back of the ball. Hence the reason why it will look this way. It will look this way, or it will look this way, and it will look those ways because of points 1, 3, and 4, which I've already mentioned on the channel. So the reason why it makes its way onto the list, and just based on that, talking about things that don't matter. If you're familiar with the channel, I've talked about every part of the golf swing. I've talked about absolutely everything that I can possibly think about. And so if you go onto the playlist and you watch backswing, you'll see all of the different discussions from, playing to how your arm should move, to feelings, to wrist cock, to not wrist cock, to everything I could possibly comprehend. And the idea is most of these things people that have been watching the channel are starting to understand that they're characteristical traits, things that you might not choose. You might not have the flexibility to adopt certain positions. But as long as you abide by the 5 things that I've suggested, it basically means you are good posture, you've got a good backswing. You might not be as high as you want, but you might not physically be able to do it. And as long as you're on plane, it doesn't matter. You're turning in the backswing now as opposed to doing things like sliding and moving around. That then gives you the ability to separate, which means your elbow then can come down to keep you on plane. It's your choice then if you want to hit it with square shoulders and release the club, or whether you want to continue to rotate. Again, those are choices. It doesn't mean you can't hit straight shots upon those things. So what we're going to do moving forward on the channel is we're going to start talking about maybe best methods of practice, short game things. But the reason why I've been kind of holding off on this idea of course management is because without a consistent golf swing, it is really unlikely that you're going to be able to control the ball flight. Therefore, course management doesn't become a priority. So what I said before this series started was that basically you need to now know which one of these things, or a number of these things, you're not doing which is giving you inconsistency. you video your swing, you'll soon find out whether you're drifting forward on the way back or whether you can't separate through what we've discussed on the channel. Make sure in your practice sessions that basically you concentrate, and that might mean you have to do it at home, it might mean you have to do it slowly. Because I promise you, like the people that I see that come here for lessons, it absolutely revolutionises and transforms their game by just understanding these 5 things. What you've got to make sure you do at home is you just got to make sure that as best as you can to your ability, you're demonstrating them as closely as you can. Keep the elbow bent because it keeps you on plane. Keep the forearm up towards the sky because it keeps you on plane. It gives you a desirable impact. But in my honest transparency, at the same token of all of that, if your elbow isn't working as desirable as you want it to, it is much more likely because you're failing in some of the other points that I've made on the channel. And I just genuinely want you guys to improve. There is nothing here. This information is free. I help you guys for free. You can send the swings and you have to trust me that this is what happens. So, based on that note, we're going to start talking about other aspects of the game. It means you guys have got some time now to kind of take this information in. We'll come back to it in the future and we'll talk about what muscles and how things should feel. But those are your 5 things. They're absolutely pivotally important towards your success at having a repeatable golf swing and reducing your scores. Hopefully you enjoyed it, right? Always appreciate a thumbs up. And remember, if you press that subscribe button, you might as well press the little bell icon because that means you'll receive notifications every time a new video comes out. That's it for now. I'll catch up with you guys soon.